rights, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Do a quick roll call. Alderman Simonetti. Alderman Simonetti.
Present.
Yeah, he just did. Yep. Alderman McKinnon.
Here.
Alderman McPherson.
Here.
Alderman Perry. Alderman Anglace present. Alderman Belmacy.
Here.
Alderman Simons.
Present.
Alderman Durante.
Present.
Thank you. Tonight, we're going to hear the public proposed ordinance prohibiting all types of cannabis establishments and retail sale of cannabis or cannabis-related products within its jurisdiction boundaries of the city of Shelton. And we'll call the order. They signed up, however, we'll give the courtesy to elected officials that are in the audience that wish to speak. If any elected officials wish to speak? Yes. And state your name and address for the record, please.
Good evening, Alders. My name is Virginia Harger, 26 Meadow Ridge Drive in Shelton. I am the chairperson of the Shelton Planning and Zoning Commission. However, these comments are presented personal opinion. There's a conception out there that any revenue from the taxation of cannabis is something that would benefit the city, and the funds are restricted. Title 12 of the Connecticut General Statutes regulates taxation in the state. Chapter 214 C deals with cannabis taxes, and the specific use of the tax amount remitted is contained in section 12-330 MM subdivisions 4 and 5. And these sections specifically state the following. Quote, the amounts remitted pursuant to this subsection shall become part of the general revenue of such municipality and used for any of the purposes set forth in subdivision 5 of this subsection. Subsection 5 states the tax collected pursuant to this section shall be used by such municipality for any of the following 6 areas. 1, make improvements to streetscapes and other neighborhood developments in and around each community in which cannabis retailer, hybrid retailer, or micro cultivator is located. 2, fund education programs or youth employment and training programs in such municipality. 3, fund services for individuals released from the custody of the Commissioner of Correction, Probation, or Parole and residing in such municipality. 4, fund mental health or addiction services. 5, fund youth service bureaus established pursuant to section 10-19M, which regulates youth service bureaus, and 2, municipal juvenile review boards, or 6, fund efforts to promote civic engagement in such municipality. And that usually civic engagement is to address public concerns and promote the quality of the community. So I would just keep this in mind that there are restrictions on any tax revenue based on the sale of cannabis. And I am sure that even though I was not able to locate it, there has got to be some reporting requirements back to the state. And I just don't think that we need to create more work for the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other elected officials that wish to be heard? Yes, sir.
Hey, this is on. Should I speak into this?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it is on. Okay. Hi, Matt McGee, 312 Huntington Street. I am a planning and zoning alternate. Although my views are personal opinion, they have nothing to do with the board. So I really just don't understand the point of what this ordinance is trying to accomplish. The cannabis industry is a highly regulated industry. And the reason why, and Alderman Mack, we had a conversation about this weekend. The reason why I really don't understand the point, I was looking at the exact location of where the current cannabis business that is exploring Shelton is looking to open their retail operation. And if you look right next door to where this business was looking to open is actually a smoke shop. And it seems interesting to me how smoke shops, as I believe, someone correct me if I'm wrong, smoke shops, I believe, are permitted use in Shelton in the sense that, we have a smoke shop, I feel like at this point, in every single plaza. Smoke shops, mind you, have been known to sell to underage minors, right? We've seen this in our community many different times. So why this ordinance isn't necessarily attacking that problem, a problem that we have documented that we know is happening, why we are not exploring capping smoke shops, and instead we're just exploring banning all cannabis operations, doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Yeah, I just think if this ordinance was about protecting health and safety of people, of our, of our citizens, we should be looking at the issue that's currently happening within our borders. I know that the retail tax associated with cannabis is restricted, as Commissioner Harger just stated very eloquently. I did hear something along the lines of it could just be, and this is not from anyone here, there's just something I heard in the town that it could just be used for drug education programs. That doesn't seem completely the case to me. We do have a little bit more flexibility than that, although I do yield, I believe she is correct, there probably would be some reporting requirement to go into that, but it's not as restricted as I think some people think it is. And then, I think another component of cannabis that people forget is, I believe this business that was looking to locate or operate in Shelton also would have a medical component as well. Cannabis is medicine for a lot of different people. It can treat chronic pain. It can treat neuropathic pain, cancer pain, nausea and vomiting associated with cancer chemotherapy. It can improve appetite in people with cancer and HIV. Help people out with MS. I actually know personal friends who use cannabis as medicine, and they thank the good heavens that it is an option for them. So why we would why we would ban all cannabis operations and not even just get a little bit more specific on maybe we don't want the retail the retail selling for recreational use. Maybe we can have a conversation with what's so bad about medical, right? So I think there should be a little bit more nuance in this ordinance if we do want to continue down this path of, I don't think a blanket all cannabis operations to me makes a lot of sense. Medicine is medicine, no matter what it is. If it helps people, then don't see why we'd be making it harder for people to obtain that. Finally, I know there was a gentleman that came to a couple of our meetings that wanted to open, I believe, not necessarily a retail operation, but more of a manufacturing facility. That brings jobs and tax revenue to the city. So, and that's not restricted. That's not like a sales tax restriction, right? This ordinance doesn't make much sense to me. I don't understand what we're trying to protect ourselves from. And if we are truly trying to protect ourselves from the retail aspect of it, I think we can be more nuanced about how we're going about it. Maybe manufacturing does have a place somewhere in Shelton. Also, I do want to point out one other thing here. Smoke shops, mind you, that are already permitted in Shelton, that this ordinance does nothing to help with that issue. We actually have a smoke shop right across the street from Sunnyside School. Right. And with cannabis, I think we can all agree we don't want cannabis anywhere near our schools. Right. We would have some regulations, any sensible town would, that would locate them in different spots in the city away from children. So some things to think about. I would like this ordinance to be a little bit more nuanced. If anything, I believe there's compromise that we could find. Thank you for your time. Appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, are there any other elected officials? There being none. Okay, Donna, who's first? Who signed up first?
John Zareski.
Please state your name and address for the record.
John Zareski, 10 Hamburg Street, Shelton. I think I've lived in Shelton my whole life. I think the past several decades, the cities went from a small town to a big city. We do not need this type of business. I don't think the economics is worth it. Socially, yeah, there's some that may use it for medicine. But I think overall, you're attracting the wrong type of person. The town of Fairfield just said no to cannabis. Let them go to Bridgeport. Keep Shelton on a growth pattern. We don't need this type of business. And for smoke shops, I wish we didn't have them either. I don't smoke. So I'm against the vape. I'm against the smoke shops. I'm also against too many liquor stores. Keep the city respectable.
Thank you, sir. Next.
Brian the Center. Good evening, everybody. How you doing? I'm Brian Essenter. I'm from
Just a
250.
reminder, sir, you have 5 minutes.
Yeah, not a problem. 256 Fan Hill Road in Monroe. I'm the gentleman that he was speaking about that has the manufacturing business that would love to locate here in Shelton that has nothing to do with retail or cultivation or any of those things. I had some prepared remarks, but I think there's some more nuance here that I thought was really important to get at. Sounded like the areas that that revenue would go to are some pretty amazing areas that every town should be looking to invest a lot more money into. As far as the revenue is concerned, I don't know of any single business that will immediately provide $250,000 to $300,000 in tax revenue to the city itself, just at that 3% tax rate. So there are a lot of things to consider as far as that's concerned. Just came back from the Capitol this afternoon, actually, where we were discussing House Bill 5150. Not sure how many of you guys are aware, but it's looking at regulating infused beverages. Infused beverages are already in every one of your liquor stores. So by prohibiting cannabis in this town, you do not do anything to prevent cannabis from being in this town. Cannabis can already be delivered to this town, can already be grown in this town by the individuals that live here. You're not preventing anything from happening. Cannabis has been shown to decrease youth use. It's been shown to decrease opiate use. It's been shown to decrease petty crime. It's been shown to increase property value in the town as well. Happy to provide you guys with backup to all of this information as well. But there is a place for this. You're not, just because we want to be a NIMBY and not in my backyard doesn't mean it's not there. Doesn't mean that all of your friends and family and neighbors aren't actually using this for medicinal purposes, no matter what we want to say, whether it's sleep, anxiety, pain, any one of those things. Just like you have a beer at the end of the week because you feel, oh, I feel so much better. I just need a beer to make me feel better, a glass of wine or whatever it happens to be. So, this is how we use cannabis. One of the things that you're hearing about these infused beverages are the liquor stores are craving them right now. Why is that? Because of dry January and everybody else getting away from drinking alcohol. Of all of the police officers and law enforcement that I've spoken to, not one of them have told me that they've had to respond to a domestic abuse complaint or a domestic situation because of cannabis. Maybe alcohol, maybe other drug. Cannabis is not the problem there. There's not a fight at a bar because somebody was high on cannabis. Those aren't things that come to your town that weren't already here. There aren't going to be new people in town using cannabis that weren't already using cannabis. These are just simply people that are going to get it from an extremely secure, regulated place. These drinks that are coming in from out of state. They are not tested. They are not regulated. They have all these fancy labels and everything else all over them. And they are not being carded for those either. Just like they wouldn't if they bought a soda or anything else. There is not the age gating that you would get from it. And this new bill is going to codify that. So you will not be able to prohibit that or anything either. So you might just consider what we're trying to do. I think going towards the regulation route, you can tell where it's going to be, what times it's going to be open, how they can advertise, signage, all of those kind of things. This is going to come back up. This is not going to go away. And if I'm not mistaken, the application that you have for retail may end up here whether you want it or not, from what I'm hearing. And that's on pretty good accord. So I just want to, I think there is a lot of room for compromise and to work with this rather than just prohibit everything. And if there's anybody that would like to reach out for any other information or resources or anything, I would be happy to help at any time. But thank you very much for your time and listening. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Sharon Herman?
My name is Sharon Herman. I am a Shelton homeowner of 26 years, residing at 170 River Road. I spoke at last year's hearing on the moratorium and made it clear I support a ban on cannabis dispensaries. Although many people share my stance against cannabis, when I speak with people who are in favor, it is typically because they are unaware of the drastically higher levels of mind-altering THC, which is in cannabis products today. With the higher levels of THC comes a higher level of addiction and a higher level of adverse health effects. There are both long-term and short-term effects. Short-term effects include change in mood, impaired body movement, difficulty thinking, hallucinations, delusions, and psychosis. This information can be found through multiple sources. I suggest people research it through a reputable source, such as NIH, which stands for the National Institutes of Health, and NIDA, which stands for the National Institute on Drug Abuse. Their website is nida.nih.gov. I have a copy right here where it lists the same effects on their website that I am speaking of. Long-term effects are significant in adolescents, including an 8-point decrease in IQ, decline in knowledge, and decline in verbal ability, breathing and lung problems, increased heart rate, increased chance of heart attack, child development problems during and after pregnancy, and increased nausea and vomiting. Emergency room responders have seen an increased number of cases involving marijuana edibles because they produce an even stronger and faster high. Young children have become seriously ill by consuming them thinking they are candy. It is our youth who is being targeted the hardest. The number of middle school children and teenagers consuming these products on a daily basis is extremely high. Years ago, when I went to the Shelton Youth Bureau's informational seminar on drug use in middle school children called Hidden in Plain Sight, I was outright shocked to learn how prevalent it is at such a young age. And it's even more common with teenagers. It is no secret that most smoke shops here in Shelton have been caught selling nicotine and THC products to minors. I have with me a Connecticut Post article from 2 months ago titled "Police Find $76,000 of Cannabis Products for Sale Illegally at Shelton Smoke Shops." There have been many similar articles throughout our city and state, and it says right here, each store was tested for compliance with age restrictions, and all failed by not asking for identification of underage customers. The smoke shop owners get a $300 fine, are never required to close their doors, and can typically be found at Derby Courthouse getting their fine reduced, and they continue doing it. Do not think for 1 second a regulated dispensary is going to reduce or minimize this in any way. The dispensary will merely be an addition. THC products are coming to Shelton through homes along the river via boat. Homeowners are planting plants in their yard. They are ordering them through the mail. A new dispensary was just approved right down the road on our border in the Oronoque Plaza. Smoke shops, liquor stores, bars, and of course the local drug dealers are all selling cannabis. What amount of cannabis? The amount of cannabis in this town is already astronomical. Why would anyone possibly want more? I started volunteering as a child and never stopped. For the past 26 years that I have lived in Shelton, not 1 year has gone by that I wasn't out and about giving back to my community. Recently, I organized a group called River Road Cleanup, where we collect the heavy amounts of trash on River Road. And guess what we find? THC waste products. I have with me here pictures of my group and an example of the THC products we find here on River Road. I conclude by saying too many people are unaware of the dangers of cannabis. I can only say so much in a few minutes, but the research is out there. Do the research and see how each state legalizes cannabis. Crime increases, the number of people driving high increases, and the number of car accidents increases. There are plenty of articles and books and testimonies out there. I have a book here called Tell Your Children, The Truth About Marijuana, Mental Illness, and Violence. The author is from Yale, and this book references many cases and studies over 100 years and even includes consistent data from other countries. And cannabis remains federally illegal. Thank you.
You,
Joe Biankowski?
I don't know if I can compete with that. My name is Joseph Biankowski. I reside at 403 Long Hill Avenue. I was a police officer earlier in my life in Shelton on the supernumerary police force for 18 years. I was also a shop teacher at Shelton High School for 5.5 years, taught wood shop. In fact, Alderman Perry was one of my students. And I wrapped up my career spending 32 years as a planner for the town of Fairfield. I go on record opposing this. Shelton's had unprecedented growth in the past 30 years. We have a lot of issues. Traffic. Police department has enough duties now. Just with the traffic downtown, it's getting actually dangerous. Okay, with the amount of traffic there during rush hour. They have other issues. The graffiti is all over town. I don't know if you've noticed on the state highway signs coming over Route 8, on our bridges, on the Long Hill Bridge, the Commodore Hall Bridge, on the 108 sign right in front of our Plum Memorial Library. They're starting to do buildings on Lower Mulberry Street. I think the police have enough to do in this town. We're part of Fairfield County. We always tout that. We heard people say this evening that Fairfield is waiting on this. I heard this evening on the WICC News that the first selectman, I believe, of New Canaan is protesting a similar shop, not in his community, but nearby Stamford. Westport's having a problem on their beaches. People are saying, they're calling in on the radio station saying that when they go out on the beach, all they smell is heavy marijuana wafting. And it's unpleasant, and they don't want to expose their children to it. I know we don't want to stifle capitalism, but I see possibly having a 5-year moratorium. Let's see what the other Fairfield County communities encounter with this issue. There's no problem in waiting for this. It's not going to hurt the community, and I think it would be wise to do that. Thank you for listening to me this evening.
Thank you. That concludes the people. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak? Anyone else that wishes to speak? Okay, there being nobody, were there any letters received?
Yeah.
Can you read them into the record, please?
Sure. The first one is from Diana Meyer. This was sent yesterday. She says, while I cannot attend the public hearing scheduled for tomorrow, April 23rd at 7 p.m., I would like to express my opposition to the proposed ordinance banning cannabis businesses in Shelton. The cannabis industry is highly regulated and would bring a safer product than what I have heard us currently offered at existing smoke shop businesses in town. It would bring in additional tax revenue and jobs. I understand the tax revenue does come with limitations of its use, but this could easily defer expenses in the schools and with the police department. Please rethink the proposed cannabis ban and allow Shelton to benefit from this change in state law. Diana Meyer, 56 Maple Lane, Shelton. Next is from Deborah Zahornecki, 31 Woods End Avenue in Shelton. Dear board members, tonight I urge you to create a cannabis ordinance prohibiting all types of cannabis establishments and retail sales of cannabis-related products. Shelton does not need or want cannabis sales. The city of Shelton needs to continue to protect our town. When the speakeasy was denied, it was in our best interest. Please continue with the task we trust you to do. As a member of the Shelton Youth Service Bureau, I know the issues that our children are confronted with. Drugs are an enormous issue. There is no denying it. We have educational programs, but it's an uphill battle. Personally, I do feel cannabis is a gateway drug. It all starts with cannabis. Please don't allow a business to open in Shelton. The staggering sales tax projected for the state to receive is not a reason for Shelton to accept this type of business. The claims that the state, to be determined, will supply all kinds of benefits to the town does remain to be seen. I don't believe Shelton would benefit from. We are a small town and will not be at the top of the list of benefits. When Art Linares was a state senator, he opposed cannabis sales in Connecticut, saying it was a gateway drug. Now that he is in the private sector, he changed his mind. The article in the Connecticut Examiner may explain his motivation. Please read how Art Linares is involved with this company, which he is legally allowed to do. Lastly, this is from a Michael Lombardi. There was no address given. It was sent to Anthony Simonetti. Please block the cannabis dispensary plan for Bridgeport Avenue. Shelton is experiencing a tremendous period of growth. It is a great place to live. We do not need this. That's all.
Thank you. There's one more time. Is there anyone in present who wishes to speak? There being none, and the letters that we received have all been entered into the record, a motion to close the public hearing would be in order. Motion is so moved and seconded by discussion on closing the public hearing. There being no discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered.